Well, I think that everybody knew that the intention was to go to Palestine, like especially since we were told like this is going to be like the last season or whatnot. So it's like I have to get them there. It's not a matter of like if, it's a matter of how. And I've seen each episode. I don't know how many times. You're like minimum 30 each. At least. And that's probably a low number actually. I'm not really sure. Definitely the finale, like over 50. I watched it with my mom yesterday, and it just like I was like, "This masterpiece." I was like,
It
"This
is.
masterpiece, bro." I was like, my first directorial debut. I killed that shit. I was like,
No, man, you nailed it. Like
I
again,
killed,
and
and
I
they
was
didn't
crying.
believe in me.
Hey Mo, how you doing?
I'm good. What's happening?
Not much, man. We're just so honored to be talking to you today. My name is Shabazz,
I'm Daniel.
and
Hey,
like,
Shahbaz, how you doing?
good
Good,
man,
man.
good. Like we're just
Who's
huge fans of
Shahbaz?
yours.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Hold on a
You'd be
second.
surprised. I'm actually Daniel. You're right.
We
You're
get
right.
confused for brothers all the time. So
Yeah.
No, I see it. I see it 100%. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm actually being genuine.
No.
oh, I mean, hey, if I could look like anybody, I'm happy to look like you.
Oh,
That's good.
now you're too kind. I can't say the same about you.
Guys, we only got so much time. Let's stop. You love each other. I get it. No.
Mo, we gotta start off by saying that like the show is phenomenal, and all the work that you've done, even outside of just your own show, is fantastic. We were coming across your TikToks the other day, and we were both just like, "Hey, did you get Mo on your TikTok?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did too," and it was just so much fun to kind of see how much you're popping up everywhere. And I have to start off by saying that my wife is actually Palestinian, and I had a chance to show her and my in-laws the second season, and they were so floored. These are people that don't watch TV typically, and
Jerry Seinfeld doesn't care about your wife.
yeah,
Okay?
it's true. He doesn't. Yeah, but at least like we do. We do here. And
Just
I
kidding.
I
Uh,
went the next
no.
day.
This is not recorded, right? I'm just kidding.
Right.
No,
Obviously not.
this is
No.
just for us. This is just for us.
Yeah. It was for our own personal bank.
Go ahead, bro.
Um, but I went like to my in-laws' house the next day, and my father-in-law was watching the first season, and he's never watched anything just for leisure. It's like we have to know, like, when you hear about like the impact that your show's having, what does that mean to you?
It's a beautiful thing, It's like it's everything why you work so hard. Like it's really like every day. I mean, there's so many challenges along the way, right? I just got off of another interview, and there was this thing where everybody's just like, "Oh man, how'd you even get this show on TV? It's a miracle." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, it just happened overnight, assholes. It just happened overnight. It didn't take 25 years of like utter grind and patience and vision to believe in yourself and have the patience to do it. That being said, just because you get a show doesn't mean you can't like mess it up, right? You can just really butcher it. But I think like it's so important to stay grounded in your own experience, right? Like as long as you're focused, it's just the show is so grounded in my own life, and if you allow the characters just to take you there, it'll be the most authentic thing you'll ever put out. And that's what I feel like I did. And just especially with everything that's happening in the backdrop as I was making the show, it was really, really painful. It was very taxing on me emotionally, mentally, but it was also very cathartic. In some scenarios, you're like recreating memories from like your childhood, which with people that you're no longer here. So it's very, very painful, very, very difficult to push through those times. But also, again, just every time I'd film something or direct something, and just I felt like, oh, this is a classic. Like I feel like this is real, this is authentic, um, and you can't go wrong in that way. And I've always looked at it as like, oh man, if my mother is proud of this, this is the most like this is the thing that I want to do. I wanted something that my people can celebrate, but it's also for everyone. It's very, very important to note that this happens to be a Palestinian family dealing with the asylee refugee process, but this is not just only for Palestinians. It's for everyone, truly, that's been marginalized or feels less than and has been overlooked for so many years and just desperately trying to feel seen. And it's that. But it's so rewarding. But it's the best thing ever when my mom is like getting messages from aunties, old aunties everywhere all over the world, and like, they're just like, I love it. I'm crying the whole time. My mom's like, why are they crying? It's supposed to be a comedy, why are you crying? I was like, Mom, episode 8 is really tough. So we watched it together for the first time yesterday. It was really hard. And, it's one of those things that you have a lot of, it was just like you want your mom to love it. And so I watched it with her yesterday and she was just crying the entire time. She was like, yeah, it's like everybody was saying they just cried in this moment or that moment. They're tearful there. I was like, the whole time I was crying. She was bawling for the time, but she's so proud. And just to have that is, a huge win, a huge win in my life for me. It's like I feel like I fulfilled a big purpose in my life.
Yeah, and and it's so interesting that you mentioned it too, like this idea of tone in the show, where this show in particular, you could have be laughing like your head off and then 5 minutes later it'll be bawling your eyes out, and it's a rare show that could do that. And I think you have such a unique voice that you're able to pull that off. And I love that we're in an era where we're getting these comedies now, that we're getting unique voices like the Atlantas, the Mo's, the Ramys, and him be part of the show as well too. I just love to know, when you're working on a show like this and you want to touch on these deeper themes, these deeper topics that are happening in the world, but you also want to still be funny. How are you, in the writer's room when you're on set, balancing the tones to make sure that we're still being funny, but we're also touching the heart and touching themes that are important in the world?
If you watch like my first two specials, The Vagabond and Mohammed in Texas, they just naturally thematically go there. It was never like a forced thing. Yes, this is what even the speech that I gave about my mom, like, how she got us out of Kuwait and all this, and The Vagabond was completely spontaneous. You know, it was not like intended, but I saw my mom sitting in the audience. I kept seeing her. I was like, man, I got to like, I don't really care about the show. I want to talk to about her for a minute and just give my mom her flowers, which will never be enough. So it always takes this like emotional turn. I think it's just who I am. It's just like you don't need a writing room. You don't need anybody to tell you like this is clearly, you know, a part of me. Anytime I even speak in public, I can't because of the subject matter itself, right? If I was doing like a straight up comedy, I probably wouldn't be getting so emotional every time I talk about it. But this is so raw to my life. Nobody can tell me if this feels good or not feels good. You don't know yet, and this is something some people didn't understand till I saw the cuts, like until you see what we've put together, then it really starts to make more sense. And it's just you have to like really really understand yourself and know yourself and willing to take yourself there, because that's also very hard. You have all these like mental blocks. Oh, I'm a comedian. I'm gonna get emotional on camera. Oh, it's scary. You know what I mean? Like it's really really difficult. But when you're in it and you're creating something really special, you just have a team in place that understands that and supports you. And I feel like in the second season writing room, it's just so easy. It was like it was just really like easy in the sense like everything came natural. Not
Yeah.
that it's easy, it felt very natural and it felt organic and it felt good to have a team that just understood like the shows with me focus on getting it out of me, and that's what we did.
Yeah, and I think in writing and also in the cast that you have surrounding you
Yeah.
in this series, it's you have an incredible group of people that are going on this journey with you to tell these stories. So
Incredible.
it's so easy to be moved and just brought through this, and it's probably like one of the easiest watches of a show that I've ever had, in the sense of I'm immediately in this world with these people. Like it doesn't feel like you're putting yourself elsewhere. Like you are immediately with these people, them.
Thank you, my bro. Thank you. Appreciate that. I've watched the final episode. I've watched all the episodes because it was just me editing and two of my editors. We'd swap depending on which episode it was. I would swap editors, but it's just me in there, right? Cutting up the show, and I've seen each episode. I don't know how many times. You're like minimum 30 each. At least. And that's probably a low number actually. I'm not really sure. Definitely the finale, like over 50. And I watched it with my mom, like I said yesterday, and it flew. It literally like it just whizzed by, and it's been a while since I had watched it. Since I turned in the show, I kind of have this rule, like when I'm done proofing it and I see what it's like on the platform, then I'm out. I'm moving on, kind of thing. I just need to. but I watched it with my mom yesterday, and it just like I was like, this is a fucking masterpiece. It's I was like,
It is.
masterpiece, bro. I was like, my first directorial debut, I killed that shit. It was like,
No, man, you nailed it. Like
I
again,
killed,
you
and
I
they
was
didn't
crying.
believe in me. You know, I always need somebody like a. I'm like Jordan that way, where I just need to be mad at something all the time.
Yeah. And then you took it personally.
You took it personally.
I kind of, man, I take shit personally. Everybody's like, it's not real. I was like, yes, it is.
One of the things that we loved so much as well is you get to talk a lot about, therapy and mental health, especially in a Muslim household. And it was one of those topics that when we were showing it to my mother-in-law as well, I could see that maybe she was getting a little uncomfortable seeing that moment happen.
Sure.
I'm curious, when you're writing that, when you're creating that moment, like how did you navigate through that process?
Oh, well, we wanted to set it up well from season one too, right? You can't do everything and crunch everything into one season. It's a difficult um, balance that you have to take from season to season, right? It's like you can't have only one thing overtake something, so you just have to like spread it out in a way. And I feel like we teed it up in such a special way in the first season with episode 5 and culminating at my father's grave, and we're all there together praying for him, like after he has his um, you know, a moment at the chicken and cone. So it's like setting it up there. That's like really the springboard to get into more difficult conversations. And initially for me, because my family is, blessed that we do talk about certain things and we do get them out, but not all, I had to realize like not all families do that, you know. And it's also, this is for TV, and I need to separate those things, even though I have like, a family who experiences the similar things, So, but yeah, it was just very, very important to do that justice and to go in and explore how even we can get that. And my sister being a great, just a phenomenal actress, number one, Nadia, Shireen, played by Shireen, just have that moment between my mother and my mom, sorry, my sister and my mom, to kind of like pick at that scab and get to a place where Samir can have his full due at the therapy session was really, really important. And then taking episode 6 to 7, where the mother daughter are having this beautiful moment on the dock, just kind of bringing everything together and galvanizing the family again. I thought that was like really, really special. And of course, like everyone's performances were really spectacular, from my brother to my sister to my mom. They all did it just like such great justice. And one of the things that I did was I made sure to hire a specialist in neurodivergency, and she's autistic herself, and she's like an incredible um, person that was able to really help us in the edit of that scene as well, and make sure that I just stepped away and let her really just take over, and make sure that all the language of the therapist was accurate in how you ask questions and whatnot. So those were one of the things those like one of the few scenes that I made sure to just make sure that I always know, like, hey, I know my limitations. Let someone else who's a professional in this field take over and do that justice. And I felt like, thankfully everyone nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that episode 8 is a masterpiece. It is a masterpiece, 100%. And you also said that somebody else said that it's a miracle that the show is made, and I think episode 8 is proof of that. And it's so moving, that episode. So we just love to know what was the process like of getting that episode made, because it really feels like it's like nothing we've ever seen before on television. And we'd just love to know from your perspective, how did you get this episode made, and what was everyone's reaction to shooting that with you?
Well, I think that everybody knew that the intention was to go to Palestine, like especially since we were told like this is going to be like the last season or whatnot. So it's like I have to get them there. It's not a matter of like if, it's a matter of how. It's like we have to get there. We have to tell the story, and we have to um, have our moment there and just live there the entire time. I almost wanted it to be like a foreign film, and to experience that. So everyone was on the same page. There was never like any resistance to going there. just to let you know, like, it wasn't a problem. And we did film that in multiple countries. So we had Malta was the main spot where we filmed at, and then we had all the cutaways from Israel, Palestine, West Bank. You know, we had all that. We had the footage of my actual, you know, family village in Burin that we had accumulated from season one, and then we sent over a splinter unit, was able to capture, you know, the driving footage, and I just made sure to stay real conscious about how to shoot it to make sure it all intercuts properly.
And we love that moment as well, where you know the camcorder scene with your father, but
The camcorder thing is like really, really, it's real. You know, you see the documentary footage at the end, and I gotta say this, like the Adi Khalifa who plays my cousin in episode 8, he actually was filming me in 2019 when I was discovering the footage. And I'm
oh,
like,
we were crying.
bro, I lost it. Like, I didn't even realize it until we were filming the scene. And Adi goes, bro, remember when I was filming you doing that? I was like, I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, you're right. You were filming me. Oh shit. And then I immediately looked up the footage to see if I had it on my phone, and I did. And I sent it to my editor. I'm like, you'll see, like, use this at the end, see if we can edit it in. And it was just like a deeply moving moment. But the fact that it's just like based off of something that's so real and raw. And I'm so grateful that Adi actually recorded me without me knowing, discovering that footage was also really special. And shout out to all the actors from episode 8. Like, truly, they were phenomenal. They were really phenomenal, and they made it really. It felt like a family, for real. I see.
Well, thank you again for your time, man. No, we're so grateful. We're so grateful, and we hopefully get to talk to you again in the future, man.
Yes, sir.
Inshallah, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you.
reach out to my publicist if you can. I would like to meet you after the show and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
So meet y'all both. There you
Yes,
go.
Yes,
sir.
absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Mo.
Thank y'all.